Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Welcome back to the Hit Factor with my dear friend and co-host, Jeff Cawthon. Also joining us is Mr. Jean-Luc Ruban. I still don't remember still remember where all he's from, but they're both from Oklahoma, so that should tell you all you need to know about them. But we are glad that you guys are here. We don't actually know. I forgot what we were talking about tonight, but we talked about last week the presidential stuff and his. You know, he got booted because he had his RO credentials pulled. There's been new information come out today as of this recording, to where we saw emails from Mr. Danny Minter, who is the person who filed the complaint against Yemen. And it looks pretty bad because it was basically Danny was not part of the issue with Yemen, but he was trying to coach and coerce people who had interacted with Yemen to file a complaint against Yemen. And it also seemed to appear like Troy was actually also encouraging a report against Yemen. So that kind of it looks a little bit more witch honey at this point, just on what we're seeing, that there's a little bit more witch hunt, just trying to get Yemen out for whatever reason they want to get Yemen out. Yeah. And that appeal's coming up fairly soon.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how that plays out, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, you know, that'll be fascinating. I'm kind of beyond like getting mad about all of it at this point, because it just is what it is.
Were you mad?
I mean, like, just frustrated with the continual ineptitude of leadership of this organization. I guess that's just kind of a ongoing frustration. But that's okay. We don't need to talk about that too much tonight. I think most people that are into that are probably following along and know anything that we know about it. And we mostly gave our thoughts and opinions last week, unless Jean-Luc has more he wants to add to that situation.
I think we should ask ChatGPT what to do.
Oh, geez.
Jeff's Lord and Savior, ChatGPT.
I do use ChatGPT.
No, I don't have anything to add. It's all FUBAR, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's getting annoying. It's just, like you said, it's frustrating. It's like to the point where I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I guess the good thing is, I don't remember if it's basically right now within a couple weeks is the deadline for anybody who is running for the upcoming presidential election to have all their signatures and their application and or form in, saying that they intend to run for president. I don't actually know yet the names of people who are running, but I suspect we will see that in the next month or so. We should find out who all is looking to run for president for the upcoming election. Well, and there's 2 other area director spots that are open. But I don't remember. Is it area 2 maybe? I kind of think it's area 2, and maybe area 8. But I could be totally wrong on that.
Area 2 is Layton, right?
Layton is in area 2, correct. And Ted, who is the vice president and now de facto president, is the area 8 director. So we should know more on the future. You know, whoever the two new ones that come in, you know, we kind of have Area 3 and Area 7. Well, I don't necessarily agree with everything they've done so far. They don't seem to be quite in the same mold as the rest of the board, which is a positive thing. You know, with this election, if we can kind of flip those two seats, then we're really kind of, especially in the president's position, now you're looking at we actually could have a majority of votes on the board. We would have a 5-4 vote. And so then you might actually start seeing a chance to seeing some positive change, hopefully at least just better leadership.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
Again, if they can just yank people's RO cert and get them yanked from the board, it's hard to imagine anybody being able to do any good, right?
Yes, that is the frustrating part of this current situation.
All right, I'm done with it. Let's talk about something else.
Good. Me too.
Somebody just posted a bag of aspartame in the drinks section of the Discord. It's only $40. You get a whole bag of straight aspartame.
Should last you quite some time.
8 ounces of aspartame.
That wouldn't get Jeff through a week. He's gonna. Oh man, I can see the
$5
lines that he's got created.
$5 an ounce, man.
What do you pay for in all your? In the other ways you consume it.
You're probably right. That's probably a great deal. 227 grams. I actually don't know how much they don't put it, though it's usually one of the last ingredients, and if you didn't know that, on the ingredients list, they're in order. So like most dominant ingredient is first, and then the last ingredient is the least amount. So sucralose or aspartame is usually pretty close to the bottom. So
when you mainline it, you're only using like a tenth of a gram.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine doing anything less than a gram.
Straight to the dome.
Straight to the dome. Imagine what you could put that in, though. Like everything.
Have you ever tried
coffee?
Have you tried Nick Bear's overnight oats?
No, I have not.
So part of it is like using stevia.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of stevia, you could use, because it's very granular.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I assume I've never seen aspartame in its pure form, but my guess is it's finer than stevia granules. So
yeah, I would imagine it's like confection powder.
Right. Yeah. So maybe it would be better. It's like oats, sugar-free chocolate pudding mix, that peanut butter powder.
Now we're talking. Oh, bro, have you ever tried that peanut butter powder with some aspartame in there? Stir that up. I've actually only used like stevia with it. I've never used aspartame with it.
Yeah, but it would be you'd use less, and you wouldn't like be chewing on sand.
But dude, you get like the low-calorie bread, you get the sugar-free jelly, you get the peanut butter powder, and use stevia. You've got like a whole PB&J that's like 100 calories.
I actually really like the consistency of the sugar-free jelly. It's a little bit more watery. It's not as and I like that. It's better. Jeremy loves this conversation. He's like, I grow my own peanuts and grapes, and I make my own out in West Texas.
You know what?
I grow my own bread. I grow my bread.
You know, my wife has started making homemade bread pretty often, and
That's how it starts.
Yeah. Hey, look. If you guys want to take that cancer powder and snort it up your nose, do whatever you want. Like I say, do what you want. Like you only live once. You might as well make it a short, quick life. That's fine.
Jeff's going to be a cyborg, so it's not going to matter. He's going to be
exactly
half machine.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Your look of disappointment is only confirming that you do believe that's gonna happen.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm surprised that Jeff doesn't have Chat GPT designing practice sessions for him and training sessions for him.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that right now.
That sounds like a good idea. Good segue. This week I did a deep dive on ChatGPT about entering the flow state, specifically in shooting, and it offered some pretty darn good advice. It was pretty obvious advice, but sometimes you have to hear it from, AI to understand it. When the answer is tailored to you, it makes a lot more sense. But the one thing that I pulled away from it the most was being mindful and present, like while you're at a match. And I've never tried to be mindful and present. I've either was having fun and just like goofing off, and most of the time I actually do well when I'm just happy-go-lucky mood. If I take it seriously. But I never perform the best, and finding like you're getting close to that carefree state, but caring just a little is a concept.
It's a sweet spot.
Yeah, I've never been able to replicate that, but specifically I asked for instructions on how to be mindful, and it was pretty insightful. A lot of times I find that people are reserved about answering those kinds of questions simply because they tend to be a little bit more abstract. Yeah,
and everybody is weird, and they don't want to let you know how weird they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and we're
Jeff has no problems with that.
We're like, we play with guns, and really get into that. That's pretty weird relative to the rest of the world. Wow. So I think right now we should all just tear down that barrier that we all have, and we should get really, really deep into this weird, thick, sugar-free jelly of mindfulness and openness within the shooting sports.
That's a great opener. All right, Jeremy, you start.
Yeah, open up. But you can't be negative.
I feel like we've had this podcast long enough that I've shown my weirdness for the most part.
No, but on this topic, this is not at all what we were going to talk about, but we'll get to that. What do you think you do think about, like, while you're on deck, like when you're getting ready for a stage? What do you think about?
Like if I'm on deck on stage, and you're mostly a visualization standpoint. Then that's pretty well just trying to visualize it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, different question. We know the answer to that question. Between the like, are you ready and stand by, like right in there? Like, what are you thinking about? Because like you're not thinking about the stage anymore.
Usually at that point, so that whatever my main focus is, whatever I feel like my main focus needs to be for that stage or where I'm at in my shooting at that point, whether that's make sure, like, do I need to be patient on the sights? I need to focus on my trigger? Do I need to focus, I grip the gun hard at coming out of the holster? That's usually like, you're kind of doing a draw or two. I usually limit myself to just one draw. Making sure I remember where all the targets are, just go one last time, remember where all the targets are, and then it's try to pick out, okay, grip the gun hard or aim hard or good trigger presses, whatever that needs to be. That's where my focus is at that point.
Right, just kind of depending on how you've been shooting, you'll pick one of those things to focus on.
Yeah,
kind of the same. Jean-Luc, what about you?
So I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast. When when the range command, "Are you ready?" comes up, I blank out, and normally, or originally, I would freak out like I forgot my entire stage plan. But I've actually learned to revel in that blank slate, that like no conscious thought, and I'm like, I just say like, just trust your gut, right? I actually my cue word now, I think I told you guys this is al dente.
What? No, you didn't tell me this.
We're tearing down the walls, okay? We're tearing down the walls tonight.
Let's go, Carlo.
We're weird, and I'm proud. I say al dente like when I have that state, because when you cook pasta, the goal is to make it al dente. Which, if you don't know that, what it is, it's slightly undercooking the pasta so that has a little bit of chew, a little bite to it. Not too much, but there's a fine line between overcooked and slightly undercooked, and you want to be slightly undercooked. And that's what I like to think about is I don't want to think of anything really hard. I just kind of want it to be right in that perfect zone. And if I think about freaking angel hair pasta that way, which I feel like I have the best stages when I revel in that idea of I don't know what's about to happen, but I have rehearsed this and my body does know what it's going to do because it's been rehearsed in my mind prior to the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my weird thing is I say, and sometimes I if you go through some of my videos, you can actually hear me whisper it.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna if I ever get to REO you like with the clock, I'm gonna be whispering. It's not an approved range, but I'm gonna be whispering. Al dente, al dente, al dente.
And I'll shoot lights out.
Yeah.
And I actually feel good now when I have that feeling of like, screw it. Like I don't know what's gonna happen because I'm not thinking of anything but to be al dente. And it's fun. Like then I'm shooting and I'm like, and then it starts to creep in. You don't want the conscious thought to creep in, but then you start realizing like, hey, that's working. Like things are hooking up.
Yeah.
I try to get back to that's overcooking it, right? You're thinking about it. You've cooked it.
Yeah. I find that if a stage is going really well, by the end of it, it's all I can do to not think about what I'm doing.
Right.
If it's going really well, like my brain wants to start coming in and being like, "You're almost done. Don't screw it up.
Like, look at you go.
Like,
you're almost there.
Yeah, this is gonna be a home run. Don't screw it up."
And then you screw up because you're thinking about it.
No, I don't screw up.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Interesting. Al dente. I like it.
Yeah. There you go. That's my own sauce that I've conjured up.
Is that what Scott told you? He told you al dente? That was it, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. That one I came up on my own. I love cooking, so it was easy, and I love food, so it was easy for me to
put
those two together.
Gotcha.
Jeff, what do you think of?
I mean, I'm very similar to you. I just think about. I don't think about the stage so much, right? Like I run through it one last time, and then right before we get started, I think about, okay, I want to explode out of this position, so I'm gonna load up this foot. I think like exactly how I'm gonna take off, and then beyond that, it's like I'm thinking of either put the sights in the middle of the targets, or I'm thinking of hold the gun as tight as possible, or I'm thinking, I don't know, I kind of have this idea of how my body should move around a stage in my head, like how it should be quick and then just like freaking stick to the ground. And so I'll kind of visualize that about myself, like seeing myself move around the stage, just like fast and like sudden, like all of a sudden I'm in position, set up, ready to go. Like there's no settling. So I kind of imagine myself with perfect movement, I guess you would say, just like moving crazy, like impossible.
Yeah.
So I might imagine that.
Like a Dragon Ball Z type thing?
Yeah, exactly. I know you watch lots of Dragon Ball Z.
I didn't actually watch a lot, but familiar with it.
Yeah, I've never watched it. But that would be what I would think of. One of those things. Nothing crazy. But I definitely, like John Luke, like kind of try to keep my brain out of it. Like I want to think about one thing, and I really only do that because I don't know how to think about nothing. Like if I could think about nothing, like I might prefer that. But you kind of give your brain something to think about to distract it. Like go think about this, and stay out of my stage. Yeah.
I would love to have ChatGPT enter my mind during a stage, just when the timer goes off, and just a transcription of the thoughts that go through my mind while I'm shooting the stage. That would be fascinating to see.
That would, because I'm sure you have no idea what they are. You know, if you read that, you'd be like, I have no idea. I was thinking all that.
Yeah. Just like the range of stuff that I think it would probably cover, I think would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where Phil Strader's maybe he's kind of hit the cheat code, because he just audibly says whatever he's thinking while he's shooting. Mm-hmm. And so, maybe that's kind of the cheat code there.
We should try that. Just shoot a stage and you have to say all your thoughts out loud and see what happens. Like you can't really do it, but you could try.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
Jeremy, could you do that while not shooting? I feel like Jeff could do it while not shooting, but could
he's
you really let loose?
He's so simple-minded.
I mean, among other things, but could you let loose and let the intrusive thoughts out? I only ask because I feel like I would have a hard time. Because they're intrusive thoughts. They're not supposed to be.
I don't know that I could block those out. It would just be I think it would just be fascinating to see what all thoughts go through your mind. It would just be fascinating.
I don't want AI in my head. I don't want.
No, I don't either. I feel like they're already in my head.
Too close to Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
Not about that life.
Yep. Okay, so Jeff signed up for Area 4.
Yeah.
He signed up to shoot single stack. And somebody else who had signed up to shoot single stack got scared and moved to limited optics.
I mean, that's a pretty good story. They also just made it a provisional division, so.
I'm calling Tim Herron out for Jeff, because to me it just looks like he saw Jeff sign up. It's like, I don't want to get beat, so I better go shoot another division.
Well,
are you sure?
So now that Timmy's not in single stack, I'll kind of share. So I kind of had this idea of how I wanted to approach that match. It was like I was gonna treat it like a really big deal. I probably still will. I don't know if I'll shoot single stack. I might shoot limited with my single stack. I don't know yet. But my plan was to.
I thought that was the SS raid.
No, that's Area 3. Which
I thought that's what we were talking about.
No, we're talking about Area 4.
This is Area 4.
Okay. My apologies. Go on.
Anyway, I was going to show up to that match, and I wanted to spank Tim by 10%. That was going to be my goal at that match. So I was going to come in and shoot angry and really, really aggressive. So I don't know if I still will because it just won't feel as good. But we'll see. I am still going to shoot it. So
If I sign up, will that make you want to shoot angry again?
no, not really. I mean, kinda.
He's already beaten you, Jeremy. It's like
He got Ozarks.
He's
Yeah.
beating him, so.
I mean, kinda, maybe. I want to show up ready. Like, I want to be ready in June to, like, really lay down some good stages.
Would it mean less to you if you found out he was told by Nighthawk that he got to shoot LO?
No, I don't.
We're trying to promote this double stack.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care where. I don't care why he's not shooting single stack. I figured that's it. Like, they built him a limited optics gun. He's probably going to shoot it. Makes sense. I still think it's dumb, but makes sense.
I agree. So you're wanting to be like completely tuned up by June. So how is that? What does that look like? How are you going to get tuned up in 6 weeks?
I mean, to be honest, like, I already feel phenomenal. So, from here, and all I've done is pretty much standing dry fire and live fire. And starting this week, that'll change. I'll start moving more into my plan. I have like a Excel sheet on things I want to train each week and kind of a structure that I'll go through. So I'll start implementing that more. I haven't done it yet. It's just been stand and deliver stuff. So I'll start doing that and start moving around in dry fire, doing a lot more. I'll probably use some like cones and just working more drills that have more things in them.
Yeah.
More, I don't know what you want to call that. Why am I so bad with words?
Complexity or context. I call it context, but you could call it complexity or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Just
drills.
More complex training. I mean, that is the one thing that's really difficult for me is is carrying good shooting from position to position, right?
Yeah.
Because I can stand and shoot good. Not awesome, but good enough. But carrying that good shooting from one position to the next is more difficult. So, yeah, I'll just be focused on that stuff. But I already feel pretty damn good. So I'll just be building on that.
Cool.
I'll be ready. And I'm shooting a lot. More than I've ever shot. Twice a week. And sometimes on the weekend, too.
That's like more than me right now.
Yeah.
Step it up, Jeremy.
I know.
I'm gonna be ready.
I'm not on Team Jeff anymore. I'm on Team Jeremy. I got it. but I'm also like, I'm naturally drawn to underdogs. So.
How's that make you feel, Jeremy?
That's all right. I'm okay with that.
I'm just throwing gas on the fire.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that's happening right now. So I'm transitioning from basically the warm-up phase of the season to the let's make some progress. Let's get tuned in part of the season. So I'm excited to move into that next phase and start getting frustrated with myself because that's what'll happen. Go out and train and make mistakes and yell at myself, and I'll throw some mags and then I'll do it better.
Do you have any, I guess, besides the normal stuff like draws, reloads, hard time, stuff like that, like do you have any more abstract measurements that you're taking of yourself? Are you going on feeling? You said you had an Excel spreadsheet. What are you going to be inputting post practice?
Yeah, so I have a sheet in my training document that I plan on doing live fire, dry fire, and live fire entries for. Just document what I'm thinking, because I usually do have thoughts on training after I'm training. The hard part's remembering to write them down. But I like to do that and then review them. What's one thing that I'll probably review is Discord entries from last year. So you could just like I could search my own name in the Discord and bring up all of my training entries and kind of read over them and see what I was thinking at the end of last season. So I would do something like that. But yeah, as far as entry, that'll be the only thing I'll enter is like journal entries and metrics. I'm not really going to track any metrics specifically. I don't plan to. I never have. But I do plan on getting into the timer a lot more this year. That's something, I don't know if you've heard Craig Tappy talk about that, but that's something he does a lot. Is, he has relatively short practices, 100, 150 rounds, but he spends a lot of time looking at the timer. Look at the timer. What was the draw? What was each transition? What was the shot? Why? So I haven't done that in a couple years, honestly. Like, I've just been using the timer as a go button. But I plan on looking at my timer a lot more this year. And it just helps with becoming familiar with what you're capable of, what you are as a shooter. And it also helps if, like, you're running a string, right? And you've got like a wide transition over here, wide transition and a move. You'll be able to see like, oh yeah, I felt that those extra 2/10 right there. I remember that. It just gets you more familiar with yourself when you really dig into the timer like that. So that's one thing I'll be doing more this year as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that pretty often if I'm doing any sort of stage setup with any sort of repetition on any sort of stage or movement drill.
So you've always done that? Like, you've never stopped doing that?
Yeah.
So what do you think like the most helpful part of like really looking at your timer is?
So like, you can just look at the final time and you can know, okay, like say you have a drill that you're running that has 3 or 4 positions. So let's call it 4 positions and a reload in there. And you can shoot it one way. Okay, I shot that pretty well. And you shoot it again. It's like, okay, I shot that pretty well. But then the second one was like a second and a half faster, right? And you may not even be able to feel that difference was there. You're just like, okay, it was just a second half faster because it was my second run. Okay, what was actually causing that to be faster? And it can be fascinating where the time gains are usually at. Oftentimes the time gains can't be too much on splits. If there's much movement, the splits can't make too much. But sometimes you will be surprised because there are, like, you actually do gain a lot. Like if you're talking about partials and you're shooting them where you're confirming a lot, going from a 45 split to a 30 or a 35 with, you do that 2 or 3 times in a small drill and you're talking a decent amount of time. But it just kind of, it shows you where you need to be aggressive to get the times down.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. Yep. That's where it shows you, which is beneficial to be able to see that in the timer, and then try to do that, first time up. And sometimes it shows you that you had a really good run, and so you're repeating it several times, and then you have another really good run. You shot good points, and it's just a half second slower, and it's simply just because it was just a little bit slower, right? Like you didn't quite draw the gun as well coming out, so you're just a little bit slower there, or we're just not 100% efficient. all the time. And sometimes you're just not going to be, you're going to shoot well, and somebody else might beat you by a second on a stage. And it doesn't mean that you shot poorly, or it doesn't necessarily even mean that they're that much better than you. It's just their stage was just, they just kind of hit it, everything a little bit better than you. And sometimes that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and a lot of times you don't know what you're looking at first when you're digging into a timer. Like, I think part of it is just kind of building a knowledge base of your numbers, and then things will start popping out to you. Just look at the timer though. Read the numbers. Run through the string. I've already found like one weird thing about my shooting from doing that this far, which is stand-in shoots, and it's that the last target on every string, I slow down on the splits. I'll shoot them slower.
That's so weird.
Whether it's a close target, far target, like I'll shoot this close target first. If I shoot it first, it's bam, 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 you know, and then if I end on that close target, I'll come back to it and go bam, bam. And yeah, so that's something that the timer revealed to me, because I was like, this close target should be like a 20 split, and it was like a 30 or 40 split on this run. Why?
What?
I have a theory on that, actually. Because, like Jeremy, I assume, because Jeremy said or thought that was weird, I'm the same way. I usually speed up at the end. And I think, Jeff, watching you shoot, and I'm sure this is what you're doing, is you're really focusing in on your spot, and the more there is in an array, the farther you get along in an array, your eyes are actually getting more tired. They're fatiguing throughout the array because you're asking so much of it. The problem, or not the problem, the thing about you is that even though you may not realize it, you're slowing down because of that fatigue, which is the right thing to do. Whereas I'm seeing less as the array goes because it's not moving. My eyes aren't adjusting fast enough to the next target. So I'm pulling the trigger before I really get focused in on a spot because I'm impatient, and it feels so much slower simply because of the fatigue that's going on. And I think when I talked earlier about mindfulness, that you've kind of embraced, and you also said this before, that you're very in tune with your body, right? Like spatially. And I think that also includes your eyesight. So you slow down because literally, like, if you've ever, when you practice the focal depth change, that, like, it doesn't make you sweat, right? But it is, it makes you tired, right? Like, you're working muscles out.
Oh, yeah.
And in an array, you're asking your eyes to do a lot of work in a small time frame. And that's kind of why you're so in tune with that you're able to, like, slow it down. It comes out as slowing down, but it's actually you're just being patient with your eye muscles.
Patient with the eyes? Interesting. Yeah. Could be.
That's my theory. That's just my theory. Because I sent you videos this week. I noticed there's an array where I engaged it was multiple arrays, but I engaged 5 targets, and it was, like, nice and, like, steady, and then all of a sudden I was just, like, ripping shots, and it's because I was asking my eyes to stay at the same pace when they weren't prepared to do that.
Yeah. I know I've been training, like, explosiveness a lot in my physical training and everything, and I've also tried to train my eyes. Have you all tried to do that? Like, try to move your eyes back and forth as fast as you can. It's really freaking hard.
Yeah.
To, like, go, like, to this extreme and then that extreme, and it goes back and forth like 20 times as fast as you can. It's really hard.
Yeah. And like I said, you're not sweating, but it's you feel fatigued afterwards. You're like, this is a workout. Like, I'm actually asking my eyes to do a lot.
Yeah.
You kind of get lazy because we shop at grocery stores and stuff, but you could say
Not Jeremy.
Oh yeah, he grows his own bread.
That's right.
Anyway.
I just get impatient at the end of a long string. It's like I should be done. I should be out of here by now. So just rip.
So is it your brain? Is it your brain being impatient because of it can't see what it needs to see, or are you just saying like, okay, the cadence is too slow? Like I've been in this spot for too long because I think you're an excellent shooter, and it's actually your eyes not focusing because it's harder. It's just naturally harder to do that after the fourth target, or after the third target going into the fourth target.
I actually,
so you're just like pull the trigger, just go.
I think it's a little bit different in that like your eyes give your brain so much information that you don't, the whole space-time continuum thing, right? Like what you think is taking a long time, like your brain thinks it's taking a long time because your eyes process so much information so quickly that you think I can't possibly take this long to shoot this. When in actuality, you're not taking any time at all, or not any real time, but your mind is telling you that because of how much information you get from your eyes. And that's something that like I see in practice a lot. Just my last practice session, I was doing it, and I just had a single drill that I basically ran the whole time. That had 3 or 4 movements in it, and I was getting frustrated because the times were fine as far as that. Like I was being aggressive, but just inconsistent hits, not quite getting the hits that I wanted. Yeah. And so then at that point, it's just I'm going to finally convince myself just to shoot A's and just shoot A's. Like, and the rest of it, who cares about what the time? Just shoot the middle of the middle of brown, which people are going to tell me shoot to a spot, but center the sights in the middle of where it needs to go. I'm sight focused anyway, so I'm not looking at a spot on the target. And lo and behold,
do you shoot all sight focus?
Pretty much almost all sight focus.
Well, you're wrong, but
I'm sure there's lots of people that will say that. But the time ended up was as fast, the exact same time as my runs right before it, like literally right before it, that were just really sloppy. And it felt slow. Again, it's that space-time continuum because you think it's taking a long time, but your eyes and your mind process way more information than you think they can if you'll pay attention. So I don't actually think your eyes get that tired in a single array. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, and I don't know if this anomaly that I discovered in training, I don't know if that happens in matches. I really don't know. But it happened in practice, so that's all I know.
I mean, I have seen you in matches. I wasn't paying attention if it was last target or not. I have seen you in matches shoot some close, wide open targets with some pretty dadgum slow splits. And it's like, I think he can go faster there, but whatever. He's just worried about hitting A's, and he's hitting A's, so that's fine. And in all honesty, there's not a lot of low-hanging fruit at that point. If you can shoot a better stage by shooting 25 or 30 splits on 7 to 10 yard open targets, and that allows you to shoot the rest of your stage better, then that's a sacrifice that's worth taking. That's actually something I'm trying to convince myself to do this year, is
really
not try to shoot super fast splits on close targets.
Splits get chicks, though.
They do. Like, they're cool. I don't disagree with that.
The chicks or the splits?
Either one.
I mean, ultimately, you're right. I just think that focusing on getting alphas is results based, And I think what I'm saying is more developing a process where it's like almost you don't. All right, we're dipping into the sauce a little bit.
What?
Just a little bit. Hold on. If it's truly process based, you don't even necessarily need a target. If you're really just trying to, because then you end up with, you know, alphas on, if you're going for alphas, you end up with alphas on your target, and like you're like, that's it. I get the alphas, and that's the right way. But if you take the results away and you're just working on what you need to see instead of looking at the timer, looking at the times, like, okay, this split was an 18, it was a 20 or 25, whatever. That's still results based. Getting rid of that, and I'm not saying go by feeling, but only you're stripping it down so it's only what you're seeing. I think that would help more than just saying I need to get alphas. And ultimately what you're doing is that, right? I know that you're not just shooting slower to get the alphas. Ultimately, you're seeing what you need to see, and that leads to alphas. But saying I just want to shoot alphas, I think is like that last 5% that you're trying to grasp. It's 5% wrong. And you just need to focus on like the visual acuity, the sights are lined up. I don't even care about the target. In fact, there's no target. I'm focusing on a piece of grass.
Either you misheard me or I didn't do a good job of saying what I was saying. I wasn't saying that I am trying to just shoot alphas. I was like, that's not necessarily what I'm trying to say. So more so that you can't trust what you feel is fast or slow, and you have enough time to aim while you're shooting, and that's not going to be slow. If that makes sense.
No,
So it's not necessarily my goal for a match is to just shoot nothing but alphas. I mean, that'd be cool if you could do that and do shoot like you normally do. That'd be great. But you're not going to win at this sport without shooting alphas.
I agree. Yeah.
I had a thought on that. So while you were talking, I was thinking.
You weren't listening.
Yeah. So the results, which this is a results-based sport, the results that you get from hitting a target really are acting. If you kind of use both, is what I'm trying to say in my mind, in your results-based and your process-based, because your target is confirmation of your process-based. So you do your process-based shooting. You have what you think was correct in your head. Like, okay, I'm pretty sure that was correct. I did my process. This is what I saw. Then you look at your target and be like, there's the results. Now I have confirmation of my process. So I really think you need both. Like you can't not have a target, because then you don't have the results to back up your process.
I 100% agree. I have a box of targets behind me. Like, I'm not doing practices without targets. But I think sometimes, like you said, you need to have the process-based shooting. And then you could have it's like your scrimmage at the end of practice, right? That's when you start throwing up targets. Or I guess you throw up targets. The scrimmage is like after you've dry fired the drill, or after you've really been mindful about, how the gun is behaving or how you're behaving. Then you throw up targets and you're like, okay, so everything I just did in my process-based shooting is now confirmed, instead of going just straight to the actual shooting, right?
So let me throw out a thing that is like my next practice, my intention was I was intending on doing this anyway because my process wasn't as consistent as I wanted last time. I think a way to do what you're talking about a little bit, John Luke, is I'm going to take a bunch of old targets that have a ton of holes in them, like the centers are probably completely shot out and stuff like that, such that I can't score it. I can't score them anymore. And I'm going to put those up on target stands, and I'm going to shoot the whole practice session with targets that I can't score. So I'm not going to score anything. It's simply, can I get to where I feel like my grip and my trigger press are consistent? Do that whole practice.
That's a form of,
so there's going like completely process based, and the only results that I'm concerned with are do I feel like I am being consistent with my process? I think that will be a good thing to do. I think that's a good thing to do. Like your last practice session before a major, I think that's a good way to do it. Like get any sort of, that way you don't go into a major with any sort of, I had a terrible last practice session. My results were terrible. I was throwing deltas and mics all over the place. Man, forget all that. Put up some old targets and just shoot, and have a session that's just about being comfortable with the gun and being comfortable with your process and mental pictures, and do that. So I think that's a way to do that. At the same time, Jeff is correct. I would not want to do that a whole bunch in a row, because I need to confirm that my process is right. Because if my process feels good, but then I'm not actually ever like hitting anything, then that's a problem. Luckily, I've shot enough that I know what a good process feels like. So I know what will get good results from me if I can do it. So I'm going to try to eliminate a little bit of the results part out of my next practice session.
Did you say you were going to try that? You're going to try the like shot up targets, like that being your last sesh before a match?
Yeah, that's kind of my goal for this year, is use that.
That's interesting.
That way I'm not, because sometimes you get, like, it gets in your head a little bit, right? You throw up a couple partial targets and you end up just plugging up like 6-7 no shoots in a 200 round practice session. You're sitting there thinking, okay, this match is like 300 rounds. I shot 7 no shoots in 200 rounds. So oh, good. I'm going to go to this match and I'm going to shoot 10 no shoots.
I wouldn't even do those calculations if that were the case.
Well, that's not like you don't have to think about that. That calculation's that's not a calculation I would think about. That would just pop into your head, right?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys you don't think at all about, I just shot 10 no shoots in practice session.
No.
What do you think?
Because I allow myself to shoot no shoots. I go into practice. This
shoot them on purpose.
Yeah. Exactly. Shoot all the white ones. No, like plenty of people have said this before. Give yourself the permission or leeway to make mistakes, so that you're learning. You're not, if you're constantly restricting yourself. Like I don't want to think about no shoots at a match. So why would I think about them in practice? I think you're. Well, keep going. Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt you. Well, I think of anything with a no shoot as just a smaller target that I have to focus harder on the spot that I'm trying to shoot. That's it. Like, you just need a little bit more. You need to, like the camera shutter. You just need to focus in just a little bit more on these specific targets. Not because there's white below them or to the side of them or wherever. Simply a smaller target. And I find that I can split on those targets almost just as fast, maybe a few tenths or maybe a few hundredths slower, but it's not processing that way. And then when you watch the video, it really doesn't look like it. Like, it does not look like I'm shooting at a partial.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you have to give yourself room to, if you want to improve, you have to give yourself room to make mistakes in practice. At the same time, you can't always be just making tons of mistakes in practice all the time, and then expect to go to a match, and all of a sudden I'm not going to make any mistakes at a match. Ben has talked about this a lot. Like he has times where, yeah, he goes in practice and he practices and has a ton of mistakes, but he also has times, especially right before a major, or right when you're leading up to a big match like nationals or something like that, the week ahead of time, you're not trying to get better. The improvement curve is done. You're at a point where all you're trying to do is be comfortable and be as consistent as possible, because being consistent is what's going to win a match. You don't want to be trying to learn something new the practice session before a major match.
Yeah.
So there's a point where you've got to.
I mean, I didn't think I was saying that, though. Is that what you thought I was saying?
Well, that was what the conversation was about. Was the practice session before a major?
Okay. Well, then I apologize. When I wasn't talking specifically about practices right before major. I'm just saying practices in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jeremy was saying, if he shoots a bunch of no shoots right before a major,
that would have an effect on someone's psyche. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for myself, like, I'm not terrible in practice, but I do shoot better in matches than I do in practice, and I always have. So if I have a session where I shoot some no shoots, like, literally the first thing I think is I shoot better in matches anyway.
Well, so that's like a because your results in matches have been better. You inadvertently are like have the confidence.
Despite reality.
Yeah.
Jeff just lives in La La Land. Like that's all we're learning.
Is that a bad thing? And I'm not saying be delusional, right? There's a very fine line between being delusional and being super confident. But in a way you are saying, I know I'll do better because here there's no judgment and I'm pushing myself. Therefore, at matches, when I reel it back just a little bit, 5-10%, I know I won't. I mean, I know I'm going to do well, right?
I don't know what the right thing is to do, but that's what I do.
Well, that's your Oklahoma.
That's what my brain. Yeah, that's what my brain tells me. Like, yeah, don't worry about it, Jeff. You'll do better in the match.
So that might be because you were raised that way, or maybe you just. I mean, there's a genetic link to just being like, it's gonna be okay, like you're gonna do fine. Me, and I think I'm very like Jeremy and I share this. We probably overthink far too much, and it's a curse. So I've been, and in everything in life, I've been trying to show a little bit more grace towards myself.
Oh, really?
Not asking myself of so much unattainable goals, perfection, if you will.
Yeah.
Focusing on just getting better as a shooter, as a person.
Do you feel like you're realistic with yourself?
I think at one point I really wasn't. I was delusional, super delusional.
Jeremy, are you delusional?
I think I live in a fairly realistic perception of myself.
Yeah.
I may be delusional in what I think I should be capable of, but I think I have a pretty good perception of what I actually do.
Gotcha.
I think I think I'm like on the verge. Like I'm right there. Like there's just a few more like little tweaks that I need to do, and I can really start performing. Just being, again, focused on the process, not necessarily the results.
Well, why don't you just do everything better?
I mean, that's easy to say. And that's what practice is for. You're just trying to do the individual things better. But when it comes to competition, there's another element, right? There's the psychology behind it. There's other people there. For me, it's like I don't even like looking at the scores with other people present. Like I won CO at this last local, and I'm glad I had to go to lunch with my parents. I'm glad I wasn't there to have lunch with the guys because I don't feel they're all nice. I mean, they would congratulate me. They're all fantastic people. But what I want to dissect, right, is the times and like see how much better I did and where I did better, and that in amongst mixed company doesn't look good.
You need to practice reveling in victory and telling people to eat shit.
It doesn't come natural to me. It just really doesn't.
You need to practice, okay?
Not all of us are, so naturally.
I only practice on one person because I know he can take it. Chad Stanton. I always
say eat shit, Chad.
I always say, I mean, if he wins, he tells me he whooped that ass. If I win, I say the same thing. So
there you go.
That's the only person I really feel comfortable because everyone else is too nice.
Oh, they won't be nice after you tell them to eat shit a few times.
I have to shoot with these people. I do them a lot.
Okay. We'll be wrapping it up here pretty quick, but today's episode is brought to you by Shooters Connection. So, Shooters Connection sponsors a ton of matches within the states. Do they sponsor international matches? I don't really know.
Probably.
But they do sponsor a ton of matches. They support the sport, oftentimes more than our board. So please support Shooters Connection, one-stop shop for all your competitive shooting needs. They pretty much have it all, especially like your daily needs, all the stuff that you got to go back and get. They got. So check them out. Use the link in the description. Let them know you came from here. Much appreciated. Also in the description is the Patreon for the Discord and social media links, which are not very interesting, but Jeremy's in charge of those. And go buy some Rubens bullets because they're also good. And what I'll be shooting this season. So, to kick Jeremy's ass.
He can try. He's gonna try.
Do we have anything else?
Who do I support? Team Jeff?
We need our Patreon shout out for John.
Oh yeah, you do that.
The Patreon, John Hedlund's Patreon shout out says, if you're looking for a rifle only match, look no further. Come to Fernan Rod and Gun Club in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho on the 4th of June in 2023 and shoot the America match hosted by East County Guns. The America match is a 2-day, 9-stage rifle match only, celebrating America, freedom, bald eagles, and explosions. Scoring is time plus, and you'll shoot out to 400 yards. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho is like really cool. They have a really awesome golf course there in Coeur d'Alene. It's a really cool part of the country. If you wanted to travel to shoot a rifle match somewhere, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in June should be pretty awesome.
I don't know that I've ever been to Idaho.
Idaho's a really cool state. I would happily move to Idaho.
It's where my girlfriend's from. It's where I want to retire.
What's Idaho known for?
Potatoes.
Taters?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
But it's a really cool state.
Shout out to Simplot, the manufacturer of McDonald's fries.
There you go.
Is that where they come from, Idaho?
They're potatoes, yeah.
A large amount of your potato products in this country come from Idaho.
Fun fact. Idaho residents of Idaho don't get the best potatoes. They export the best potatoes. So if you go to Idaho and you go to their supermarket, you don't get the best potatoes.
That's shitty.
They send out the best stuff. Well, I mean, it's pretty selfless. I mean, that's,
All right. Is this like all types of potatoes or like just the big brown ones?
I'm guessing it's the big brown ones.
Just curious. All right.
Your standard baked potato variety.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe
We have.
Yukon Golds. I don't know.
Yeah, we have those big behemoth potatoes at our Christmas party every year here at work.
All right.
Cool.
Well, John Luke, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And if you guys have any questions, send it to us, and we will see you guys at a match or the next podcast.
Yeah.